This is Chicken Ball. Come at us, bro.
Welcome back to the Chicken Ball Pod, Tottenham Hotspur's worst pod on the internet. I'm joined this week by two of our best regulars, Mort and Scott. Scott, starting with you. How's your week going?
Good, man. Rocking and rolling. Still feeling pretty good off of Sunday's results. So.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a nice way to enter a week. Mort, do you have any Arsenal friends that you got to rub this into?
Oh, fuck yeah. So many. I have friends from pretty much all supporters clubs, at least the main ones, except for Chelsea, because fuck those guys. But yeah, lots of Arsenal buddies. Give them the old, fist up the bum. So yeah, awesome. Pretty excited. I passed out 30 minutes after the match because I was so drunk. Celebrating, of course. It was great. Right. It was great. No complaints whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's dive into that Arsenal game. We have a few things to talk about, on this show anyways. But, I'll stay with you for a second. So the lineup, there were injury concerns with Reguilon, with Kane, with Alderweireld continued, and even Hugo, who missed out in midweek. All those guys played, but it was Ndombele who didn't play. I mean, that to me was a pretty big surprise. I don't know about you, but you look at the starting lineup, not there. Okay, well then you scan to the bench, not there either. How did you feel kind of that moment when you realized the guy's literally not playing?
I felt as disturbed by that as I felt about Winks not being named to the bench on Thursday. Against Lask, right? It's fucking devastating, right?
Yeah.
When you have a quality player like that. Surprise. Right? Yeah. I mean, same thing with Sanchez, right? When you don't see Sanchez in the lineup, you just worry about your team's ability to, ship out goals.
Yeah, but you do worry about that.
Yeah. No, I was very worried because his name never popped up on the injury list, but it turns out he was just he's fine. He'll be back. We may even see him play against Antwerp this week, but we'll certainly see him play against Palace.
Yeah.
But here's the funny part, right? And we've said this a million times. I wasn't worried. Saw the lineup. You've got Gio Lo Celso out there. Phenomenal. Fine. We just keep on ticking. We have depth now. And Ndombele is a phenomenal player. And that's the guy you want starting for you, no matter what. But Gio is also a phenomenal player. And at the end of the day, what did we lose? Nothing. We fucking still won 2-0 and we completely dominated the match. So, it was disappointing. But, Andrew, I love being in this place where I wasn't worried.
Well, and that's the thing. I remember tweeting out on Sunday morning, seeing that. It's that sucks. That's really, really not ideal with how well he's playing now and how it would have been just a joy to watch him just dribble through all of Arsenal, all 11 of them. But again, with Harry Kane, obviously if he's out, the drop off is huge. I know Sonny can play. That's not what I'm referring to. But even with Vinicius, who we've all liked, it's still a pretty big drop off. Same was when you take Alderweireld, you've either got Sanchez or Rodon. You really got to worry if you've got to go Hart instead of Loris. So the fact that we only had to go Ndombele to Gio, that's still a pretty big win, I think, as a team.
I'd like to push back on that notion a little bit. I think you're right fundamentally, right? I think there's obviously a difference between Harry Kane and Vinicius. However, I don't, and the gap is large, right? Let me make sure before our one listener gets pissed off at me. The gap is large. However, Andrew, I don't think that matters as much anymore. I think the fact that we play in a system, we defend as a team, we build as a team, and we counter as a team, I think that takes a gap that should be this big between Kane and Vinicius, and it makes it this big. And a gap between Ndombele and Gio is probably this big, and it's like that because we are now a system-based offense. We are not an individually talented team. We are a team of talented players who are playing together. So you're right. The gap is large, but just as we saw with Gio slotting in and how quickly Bergwijn has just moved into our starting 11. I'm are we going to talk about that? The guy started against City. The guy's going to start against Arsenal. He started 2 of our key matches. I think he started against Chelsea and Arsenal, but he's starting 2 key matches. But why? We're a system. Yeah. That position he's playing could go to Lucas or could go to Bale, but it goes to him, and we still keep ticking. So gap is large, but again, I don't think it matters as much, man, because we're now a system-based team,
It's a fair point. And actually, we'll come back to that sort of at the very end there in terms of, Kane's impact. And if you weren't, but Scott, Mort actually brought up a really good point on Steven Bergwijn. A guy at first I'm thinking, man, he really hasn't, made the position his own today until I actually went back and rewatched to actually watch what his role was supposed to be. Right? He wasn't supposed to be driving the attack. He was kind of playing like a really high playing, wing back, and he did it really, really well.
Yeah, he honestly played like a true left mid, in my opinion. Like a left mid is much more focused on defending than than leading the line. Of course, they're involved in the attack to some degree, but yeah, he was very much focused on the flank and defending the flank. And I think Matt Hayes, who's is quickly becoming a buddy, I got to give him credit, but he pointed out the tactical piece that essentially Xhaka kept dropping back into like a left center back role in a back three. And it was a smart move by Arteta, because Arteta was doing that so that Bergwijn would actually leave his assignment and gravitate towards defending on the ball there. And it was allowing Tierney to get down the left flank. And so Jose noticed that at halftime, and spot on, Kane started defending Xhaka when he would drop back, and Bergwijn, like, you could tell it was almost uncomfortable for him, like sat tight and did not go defend the ball. Kane did. And not only does that speak to Bergwijn and what a great student he has been under Jose, but also speaks to the master tactician that is Jose Mourinho, man. He identified that immediately, fixed it. And I think, to Mort's point, it's all because he has these guys playing as a cohesive unit towards a goal as opposed to individuals, and people are bought in. And of course the trophies help, right? You're going to buy into a guy who's a proven winner like that, but everybody's just asking, what do you need me to do? And they're doing it.
Yeah, that's a really great point.
Yeah.
Because I think we were all super excited, obviously, when Bale signed. We're thinking, man, that front three is going to be outrageous. I mean, even whether it was Lamela or Lucas or Bergwijn, like, that's still a pretty great front three. It's just not necessarily taking shape the way we thought it would, where it's just all of them down the field all the time. And I think that's the difference. More like you looked like you had a retort there.
No, yeah. I mean, I was totally agreeing with you, man. I mean, you just hit it on the head, right? Yeah. I was just.
Well, now we're going to play a little game here called Things People Say About Tottenham, because there's lots of it going on. More than being the league leaders and the envy of the entire league. Like, it comes with the territory, right? So, early Christmas present for you here. So the first one I'm going to say. So what was being said on the internet, right after Sunday's game, and it was that despite being on the losing end of a 2-0 loss, Arsenal dominated proceedings against Spurs on Sunday.
Fuck you. Come. Oh. Okay. That is the stupidest fucking take in the world. It's not how many chances you get, it's what you do with them. If you get one chance and you score a goal, and your opposition gets 50 chances and they score no goals, who the fuck wins the match? I think that's the difference of mentality that Jose brings. It's about winning. It's not about how the fuck you get. Like, does anybody remember who won the Champions League final last year and how they? No, I mean, you remember who won. You don't know how they played. You don't know how the opposition played. Most people couldn't even tell you the score, but they can tell you who won a match. So no, that's a ludicrous thing. It's kind of funny you bring this up, Andrew, because another friend of ours, a friend of the pod, Ian, he was, we were kind of talking on our chat, and like Man U got knocked out of Champions League today. We're talking about maybe like Pochettino going to United, and I remember Pochettino playing beautiful football, man. Like, you loved watching our team. The year we came in second, I mean, we're firing on all cylinders. We had the most goals scored, best goal differential, least. We looked beautiful. You know what Pochettino's record is against Jose? Does any of you guys know? Pop quiz.
It can't be good.
Huh?
It can't be good.
4, 1, and 11. 16 times Pochettino's come up against Jose. Beautiful football against Jose's shit tactics. And Jose's won 4 times. Jose's won 11 times. And guess what? One of those was the League Cup final with Chelsea. And one of those was the FA Cup semifinal with United. So that is a bullshit statement. I don't give a shit what you think we look like. If you're not entertained by a win, why the fuck are you watching sports?
Well, yeah. Seeing a Chelsea fan also, who was a Chelsea fan during the Mourinho years, he's like, look, I'm just gonna jump in here for a second and tell you, like, you get over the style of football when you have 95 points at the end of the season, we can have a Premier League title.
Right.
Yeah. Well, no, spot on. And I think one thing we're going to cover, we do have an extra time, portion of this episode releasing afterwards, and Ian, who Mort brings up, joins me for that, and we dissect Jose's 7 principles of winning. So keep your eyes peeled for that, and I think it really ties into what we're discussing right now.
If I didn't know which 2 people did the pod, I would listen to it. But you guys are Shout out Royal, you can tell. Yeah.
I mean, it's me hosting and Ian sitting in a bathtub, so make of that what you will. But no, honest to God, as shit of a show as this is, I think if you're listening, I think you'll be interested in hearing us discuss and break down Jose's 7 principles. It's seriously eye-opening stuff, and when you hear us list them off, point by point, you quickly start to understand why Jose's so talented and has such a decorated history. But for me, my question is how can somebody tell me, and this is really the only question I ask anyone who has a problem with Mourinho right now, how can you tell me we're not playing exciting football when we have scored more goals in our first 11 matches than we have since the 60s? Like, I equate goals in masses and 3 points in bulk to be pretty exciting stuff, and to be honest, like I got really tired of watching us just move the ball around the top of the box and then back to Lloris and then back around the top of the box and then a turnover and then back to Lloris. Like, is that exciting? Because I'd rather watch Jose ball where Kane and Son are just fucking toying with the other team. Boom, 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 goal, goal, goal all day long. And the thing is you never know when that's coming. Like, at any moment, we'll score a goal no matter where the ball is on the pitch, and that's exciting to me.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Scott, I guess, the point, scored more goals in the first 11 games than we ever had. Like, I suppose you can make facts say anything, right?
Absolutely, man. I'm not a stat guy. I'm here to talk shit and say things that cannot be backed up, but this one can. We're fucking scoring goals, and data shows it.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. Now, I'm going to jump ahead of one topic, not that you've read the agenda, so like it really matters. But, to your question on shit people say about Tottenham, because you more talked about this a little bit, you talked about it a little bit, but let's get a little bit deeper into it. So Spurs are a tough watch under Jose Mourinho.
I mean, I'm sure a bunch of fucking people have said that, but again, I don't know. All I can say is that I highly disagree because
what does that mean?
Fair point. What does that mean?
I guess what it means is if we keep beating you, it's really hard to watch.
Spot on, man. Like, and I think the only sort of even legitimate response I can give to that is like, my neighbors do not like me, and that's because I have not. I'll say this carefully, right? There was a point in time, and it was roughly, let's say, 14 months ago. You guys know this. I was very apathetic to Tottenham football. I never missed a match. That club is fucking etched on my heart. But I went into matches saying, like, if we win, cool. If we lose, also fine. I'll pod with you boys later over a beer, and it is what it is, right? And we all had that conversation very specifically. I know it. And that is gone, dude. Like, I am so fucking in on everything. And I got to say it carefully because that never went away. But, like, when Spurs are playing, I can't sit down. I'm screaming. I'm like upsetting my neighbors when we score goals, and that's fucking Tottenham, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Well, I mean that's the thing. Like, and like, I guess the question is, who is saying that Spurs are tough to watch? Because to watch us beat, Arsenal 7-0, but like I think you said it last week or the time before. It's just like, but the day after and even during, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how we win. Like, and again, we can go, so many different ways. I hear, like, I showed you guys the conversation I was having with a couple of my saying like, well, both teams are average. Like, really? Because one's at the top of the table and one is literally not in the bottom half, the bottom quarter of the table. And you're very lucky that Southampton just got by Brighton yesterday because you'd be in 16th. But like, you knew what we were going to do. You knew we were going to sit back and wait to counter. And like and then he's saying, we didn't, Jose had no intention of putting, an offensive sub on in the second half. It's like, we knew you couldn't score. What does it make?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't
they Jose laid out tactics against Pep. He laid out tactics against Lampard. He laid them out against Arteta. He won all three, right? He's a strategic manager, and his resume proves it. So no, it's all dumb shit. Next question.
Well, I'll take this one because, apparently for Ryan, Tuesday night is, shoe tying night in the Moniz household. So I'll take this one. But Harry Kane is a dirty player and is going to hurt somebody the way that he drops back and is cutting people's legs out from under them. So I went back and I looked at this. I mentioned this has been something that forwards and defenders and every single player have been doing since the beginning of time with professional or any kind of level of football matches. And so One little stat, and again, I'm like Scott, I don't like to bring stats here because then it's easy to disprove, but Harry Kane has been fouled more than any player in the entire Premier League. Xhaka, I counted 4 times. He went through Kane until the 75th minute where he finally got cautioned with a yellow card. So you're going to jump through a guy's back. You're going to from behind. You're going to drive your elbow into the back of his neck. I would cut your legs out from you as well. I mean, guys, is there anything else to say about this topic? Why don't we get rid of jumping in basketball? You're not allowed to box out anymore, or running backs are not allowed to jump over the pile at the 1 yard line.
This is a conversation I've had with several friends, and I've played for a long time, and I think I don't want to get into like too much semantics here, but think about this: what is more dangerous? Somebody coming behind you, jumping over you, putting your head and neck at risk, or you jumping over someone, them backing into you, and then you having the ability to use your hands to break the fall. So there's a reason why coming over someone from behind is a foul in pretty much every sport. So that's the first part. The second part is a player has a right to space. That's literally how this sport works. Harry Kane has a right to that space. If another player vacates that space, it's no longer their space. It is not Harry Kane's space. Now, if that person makes contact, when Harry Kane has occupied that space, it's a foul on them. So you can call it dirty all you want, but there's a reason Kane is not the one getting called for this. There's a reason the opposition player is getting called for that, because they are in the wrong, not Kane. You may not like the way it looks, but you may want to look at the rule book before you start talking shit, because that's literally how the rule is written, and it's for a good reason. Yeah, you don't want unprotected neck. I mean, look at what happened to Jimenez. I mean, head injuries are no joke, man. Like there's a reason why there are safety precautions put in place to keep neck and head safe.
Well, and the thing too is, like, as a defender, or like, it is your right to attack the ball and, try to jump, out jump the guy from behind. But you also know that if and especially some of these guys got good springs, like if you get up in the air and somebody moves, like they're not going to remain static. Like, that's the risk you're taking. Like, you have the advantage that you can see what's in front of you. The player who's in front of you can't see what's in front of you. So yeah, to me, like, this is just really grasping at straws this week. Like, it was almost like a turning point where people are actually getting even more irritated that Spurs are doing well. Like, I don't know if we've reached that point only after 11 games, but like the most hated team somehow is getting even more hated.
Yeah. What I was going to mention, you transitioned super well into it. And I just happened to like catch a snippet of some Liverpool podcast today on Twitter that's going around, and they're talking about Kane backing into people, exactly what you're referring to here. And I think my biggest takeaway from that was that this podcast, you could tell that they truly believe that not only they are pundits, but that they have like exposed this thing that needs exposed, and have hit the nail on the head and figured out what's wrong with football, And I think as funny as the conversation was, these podcasts, these people that are saying these things, like, they're not pundits. Like, Chicken Ball, we know very well that we're full of shit. Like, we are not pundits. We are here to entertain you. I'll happily rip my shirt off if required. Like, that's what we do. I'm just really sick of all these pods hopping on, discussing these types of things, namely Harry Kane and all the bullshit that follows him, as if it's like some monumental discovery that they're sharing with the world, from the expert mind of these pundits. And Liverpool is a team that we see a shit ton of it with, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, the next thing that Scott, I'll stay with you, and actually this will be kind of a group discussion here. But more, you talked about it a little bit just in your first answer around the fact that we're a systems team now, and that that there's the drop off between your starters and your next group of players. But Scott, I'll stick with you for a sec before jumping to Mort. So people are saying, yeah, fine, Spurs are in first place right now, but they will fall off a cliff if either or both of Son and Kane get hurt.
I will say this, there is a conversation around the idea that if we lose one of Son or Kane, there could be speed bumps. Now, as Mort discussed earlier, the gap between the Viniciuses of the world and the Kanes, which Football Manager 21 will tell you that there isn't a gap at all. That dude bangs the goals in, but all jokes aside, there is not that gap. And I think we would be in a better situation than even us as fans expect us to find ourselves in, should that happen. But I do think there's a conversation around that. I don't think it's falling off the cliff, but I think it does expose us to to a bit of trouble. And I think the main reason I say that is right now, our strategy, it's very concise, it's very precise, it's a good strategy. It's let's defend cohesively as a unit. We're not parking the bus, right? We're tactically defending in a low block and countering, but we do need a goal to come from somewhere, and that has been the link up play of Son and Kane 8 out of 10 times. So that's why I say if one of them were to go down, there's a conversation, but no way am I ready to say that it puts us out of the running for a title.
Listen, if we lose both, the wheels fall off, right? I mean, but that's such a stupid fucking question, because take the two best players on any team and remove them. What happens to the prospects of that team? This is a stupid question. It's designed to somehow create this notion that Spurs are hanging on by a thread. That's not the fucking case. I mean, take like De Bruyne and I don't know, like Mahrez or somebody, right? Or maybe when Aguero's fit, take those guys off. What happens? Take off Salah and take off Mane. What happens? I mean, no, you like take off Richarlison, take off like Calvert-Lewin. What happens to that team? This is a stupid question. You take away the two best players of a team, and yes, they are fucked. So now,
arguably in the league, like two best players in the league.
This is for every team. There's no team that's gonna maintain their form when they lose their two best players. You take off Maddison and Vardy, let's start a fucking relegation battle team, right? So I think the question though is, if we lose one of the two, I think we're fine. I honestly believe we're fine, because we still have Bale, Lucas, we still have Vinicius. We've still got guys who can score goals. Lamela hasn't come back yet. We have depth too. Now, again, the gap is large between Kane, Sonny, and our third best attacker, but in a system-based approach, that gap narrows vastly, right?
Yeah.
Significantly narrows.
Well, exactly. Yeah, and I think I think there's two things to that. One, Kevin De Bruyne was out for a long period last year for Man City. How did that go? Liverpool are obviously hanging on relatively well, being in second place, but Van Dijk out for the whole season. And again, yes, they've obviously had other injuries, but it's Van Dijk. It's not Matip. It's not Gomez. It's not those guys. It's Van Dijk being in or else. I mean, again, you look at Arsenal. You take Aubameyang out, they're still in 15th place.
Very true.
I guess taking the best players off a team doesn't always have an adverse effect, but I would say 9 times out of 10.
Well, listen, I think that is proof, because Aubameyang has been a ghost, and look at how shit their team is. They're in 15th, right?
Exactly,
He was the Golden Boot last year, or the year before, or whatever.
I mean, I feel like
that was shit people say about Tottenham. We've got a couple of minutes here, a couple of games, actually 3 games coming up in a very short period of time. First we've got Antwerp, which it'll be interesting to see how Jose plays that one, because we've had a couple of Europa League matches now where he's not been happy with the level of play. Not even the level of play, it's the attitude of some of the players. So we've got that match coming up. We've got Palace, which is obviously a particularly lesser of a foe than, say, Chelsea or Arsenal. Not Arsenal, I guess, but Chelsea or City. But then followed by Liverpool, actually midweek. I don't know about you guys. I only just realized that's a midweek game next week. So with limited amount of time, Scott, I'm gonna pivot to you. Which game do you want to have a quick chat on?
Honestly, I very much prioritize anything in the league over Antwerp. And Antwerp is a game where I literally just throw the kids out and see what happens. I think if it helps set us up on either side in a better way. Whether we get first or second, there's so many variables into who you get in your first round that it really actually doesn't even matter. And I think if I'm Jose, I'm telling the boys, you go out and win no matter who you're playing. If we're worried about our round of 32 opponent, do we really think we can win the Europa League? That's my big point here. So honestly, focus on the league. We're already through. Give the kids a chance to beat Antwerp.
No, man, I disagree completely, because if we lose to Antwerp, we finish second in the table, which means we can draw someone like a fucking Real Madrid. So no,
or a Manchester United.
No, we
but honestly,
but I mean, I don't why take that risk when you don't have to? We're playing at home. We can beat them. Let's go beat them. We have done the win Europa and win the Premier League. We did that with Ludogorets, and I think right after that we played City, right? So it's fine. We can do both, but I think the thing is we just can't do what we did against fucking Lask, is go out and let them score 3 goals against us. I think what we have to do is go in there with the mindset of winning, taking it seriously, right? Like Jose came out and said, these players are taking the match seriously. So go in, put the fire under their ass and say, get this fucking win so we don't get drawn against Real Madrid I think that's important, Scotty. I think you got to finish top of that group so we don't risk. There's 8 teams that drop out of the Champions League that are going to fall in Europa. I don't want to play those fuckers. Like, I don't want to play any of those teams. You know?
Yeah, well, I think my first of all, I'll say that regardless of the lineup, of course we should go out to win that game. I mean, I'm not saying we don't, right? But I'm saying play your B squad because those 2 games around it are extremely important. And honestly, coefficient and the nation you're from factors into the first round pairing. First and second actually doesn't matter that much. Like, I can send out the ruling to anyone who's curious, but first and second isn't going to keep us away from a Champions League team necessarily. It matters. There's a certain amount of number per nation along with the coefficient that factors
I know the
into
coefficient, but I thought the coefficient is used in the group stages. I thought that when you come out, it's the teams that finish top of the group get put into one bucket. The teams that finish the bottom of the group, and then ones play the twos, and like that's how it works, right? So
no, because of the interjection of the Champions League teams, they mix it up. So it's not black and white, night and day. Now again, I'm conveniently arguing for my point here, right? So
no. I mean, listen, if you're lying, then fuck you. But if that's the case, right? Like if that's the case, then we actually have one of the highest. I think we have the second highest coefficient in the Europa League right now behind Arsenal, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm pretty sure you're lying, but if you're not lying, then yeah, let's fucking put all the kids out there, because if that's the case, and it's not based on where you finish in the group, again, I'm pretty sure you're lying. But if that's not what the reason is, then I agree with you. Yeah, then I really don't give a shit. We've already advanced. Let's fucking
see, and we're on the same page then, because prior to understanding this, I was just like you. I'm like, we have to go win the group for anything mentality's sake. But I think once I understood this, and I'll send you this shit off the air, or whatever, but that changes my opinion a lot. And so I would love to see our B squad get a chance to go out and win the group, right? It doesn't take anything away from the opportunity. But man, if we beat Liverpool on Wednesday, and of course Palace prior, it's Palace first, right? Palace.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we do beat Palace and then go and beat Liverpool, that is a substantial step in the direction of a title at the end of the year. And it's a very, very, very big game on Wednesday, and all eyes on that for me.
Yeah. And I mean, I know we got to shut this down soon because we have obligations, but I will say one thing. I think we all agreed that this stretch of matches, these seven or so games, and we're not even halfway through yet, right? City, Chelsea, Arsenal, Palace, Liverpool, Leicester. I think that's how it rolls out. There might be Everton might be in there somewhere. I think Villa might be in there. I think there's one more team.
All the teams except for Everton are in this stretch that you mentioned.
Right. So we're halfway through that six banger, and we're looking real good. Yeah. We go out, we beat Palace, we get a draw against Liverpool, or beat them. Fuck it, why not? And then we go out and do the job against Leicester. Come on, man. Are you kidding me? I would not have dreamed of this going into this stretch. No. But now I don't see an alternative. No. I think this is
Scott just realized what he said was completely fake and is jumping.
Yeah, he's fucking Googling right now on his other computer.
Well, I mean, I think I speak for everybody when I say that, we're the last people that should be talking about coefficients, probabilities, and anything like that. Well, we'll put that out to the Twitter universe, because there's people smarter than us out there with more time that will tell us what exactly is going on there. Well, I guess Scott has left us. He's put his microphone on mute. So again, I can just assume that whatever he's Googling is to try to make up for what he said earlier throughout the show. Mort, any closing thoughts as we go into this? Again, a pretty busy 3-day stretch. Yeah,
I'm pretty excited. I'm excited for Antwerp to see Toby play against his own club. I'm excited to go beat Palace, and I'm fucking excited to go beat Liverpool.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, midweek game, now is the time to start feeling that tickle in your throat or obligations you had outside of work. It's time to find a reason, to get those couple of hours off. So, Scott, who left us unannounced, for Mort, I'm Andrew. Oh, there you are, Scott. Thanks for coming back.
Hey.
Do you have any closing thoughts for us?
Fucking come on, you Spurs.
Right on. Mort, you're good?
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.